Hello, this is Melody Penny with Kaiser University on February 28th, 2023. In this presentation, listen closely as the interwoven facets of subtle genetic coding has dictated cultural evolution, represented by the inclinations and innate predilections of humans and our closest genetic species, the bonobos and their communities. The name of our presentation today is Genetic, Biological, and Psychological Factors, Possible Futures Human Development. Which shall we choose, cooperation or annihilation? Is survival of the fittest predestined human beings to implode personally, exhibiting mental disorders and health concerns indicating a deep-seated rejection of self and selfhood? Is this expression of the individual indicative of the larger communal issues of violence, fear of violence, and corporate violence expressed as war? If spears have evolved to nuclear devices, can human beings resist the use of ultimate coercion, the ultimate expression of destruction and self-destruction? Is there some explanation, biologically and psychologically, leading back to our DNA genetic code to point humankind in the direction of the best possible future for humanity? Pictured in the video link, and it will take a moment to upload, there is a link to a YouTube video with Jeremy Griffith, renowned biologist and philosopher, and the agent provocateur who has founded the World Transformation Movement. This heady vision for world peace that includes helping a traumatized humanity identify and live peaceful lives and attaining a new level of mental clarity and lasting mental health, with this grassroots peaceful self-awareness leading to a communal peace and peaceful coexistence with cultural identity and diversity intact. What are the basic tenets of the World Transformation Movement, and how can I begin to heal myself and my world? This is a question for all of us. There is scholarly, empirical research that shows our biology and psychology is genetically coded for personal peace and peaceful coexistence, even in our culturally diverse world. In Jeremy Griffith's groundbreaking treatise on the genetic, biological, and psychological underpinnings of personal turmoil, described simply as upset, leading to alienation, anger, and frustration, while genes orient us, the nervous system as part of our consciousness can affect the agreement that cooperation is better than violence. The vertical line of alienation has expanded in populations exponentially, with a doubling of the previous generation of violence expressed as psychosis, with no explanation or reasonable motive. An example is the increase in mass shootings, communities driven by fear and outrage in response to the escalation cycle of anarchy, and these events undermine community and the purpose of communal security and peace. Conversely, this optimistic biologist and philosopher seeks to end the quote-unquote upset plaguing humanity with a return to our ancestral cooperatives. Have you heard of the Pleistocene social contract? Well, more than 12,000 years ago, there is archaeological and ethnographic evidence of the gradual elaboration of cultural learning as part of the lineage from the Holocenes. The genetic propensity to develop cooperation as strong motivation to reach a more profitable status and to create a more stable environment conducive to a calm mind. The representative ancient calm mind is a prototype of the potential for a calm mind in modern times. While Jeremy Griffith is recommending a rehabilitation of the human psyche, reconnecting our innate goodness and bringing to consciousness the intellectual understanding that cooperative, selfless, and moral reasoning is what separates us from the animals and animal instincts. Selfless and moral actions is the differentiation between humankind and animal instinct, the conflict within. Fry reminds us nurturing has always been a key to survival. Pleasure and intimacy is linked to nurturing and is a strong motivator, regardless of gender roles. While genetically men must regulate testosterone impulses, but represent strength and authority as enforcement of social mores. And authority, an enforcement that women must rise to the matriarchal imperative to nurture, nourish, secure, teach, and ultimately encourage self-actualization, not only in herself, but in her partner and in her children. This self-actualization to her primal attachments, her partner and offspring, these tasks are part of the matriarch's self-actualization as well. While gender roles can and should overlap, men and women must take back their power as rulers of their family and allow this power to express itself as the family's extension into the community and the world. This power is what drives industry and economics, education and entertainment, and politics and government. Matriarchs and patriarchs are powerful indeed, enforcing cooperation, stability, and security. 58% statistics of U.S. citizens that have experienced gun violence in their family. 35.6%, 1 in 3 women experience violence in their lifetimes. 28.5%, 1 in 4 men experience violence in their lifetimes. In children under the age of 18, 82% of victims are girls, 1 in 9 girls, 1 in 53 boys. Violence, common, part of our everyday lives in media and entertainment. Violence is the ultimate power play, the ultimate form of domination, coercion, or punishment. There is no room for violence in a nurturing family environment, and no room for violence on the world stage. This statement does not negate military personnel and the contributions of the military and local law enforcement, yet there must be a strong differentiation between the tools of order versus chaos, the governance and good governance versus anarchy, and certainly self-defense versus exploitation, aggression, assault, and murder. Moving from the micro and our personal sense of peace to the macro for our larger society and global concerns. Scenario planning methodology for future conflict, Andrew Dowse, explains to us that one of our first tasks is to identify the drivers. Moving from the ecology of personal and familial, the local concerns relating to impulsivity, aggression, and violence, and the macro issues of geopolitical conflict that is fueled by corporations, military-industrial complexes, and the governments that must navigate the agendas beyond war and conflict. Even the threat of war and conflict is a global oppression brought about by people you will never meet that do not care about you, or the people who are uprooted, impoverished, injured, or killed. This Dowse illustration of the facets behind war and conflict is a challenge to all leaders in the military and ancillary organizations. It is the shadow nature of personal and global conflict that anesthetizes the masses and each of us individually. How do you identify the drivers and neutralize them when they hide so effectively and have for generations? While the perils of technology has added an entire dimension to lifespan human development, technology may also be an effectual way to plug into the bonobos and unplug the chimpanzees. Jeremy Griffith, the more aggressive, describes the chimpanzees as the more aggressive, sometimes infanticidal and genocidal, who also are DNA partners with humans. The peaceful, matriarchal, communal bonobos also share most closely with human DNA. It may resemble the heritage proposed by Sterelny in the Pleistocene Society and the Societal Contract. The bonobos are predominantly herbivores, sexually indiscriminate with the exception of incest, and are known as peaceful, communal, and an example of a successful cooperative society. While a peaceful interiority, navigating complex familial relationships, deciding on a political agenda to support, defining one's own worldview in the framework of one's own culture and background, it is not as easy as monkey see, monkey do. In lieu of a clinical measurement, the PsycInfo APA 2016 Tolerance for War, the Peace Test, is available to assess the psychological and intellectual assumption of what constitutes a sound cultural peace strategy. Rhetoric, perceived and real injustice, inequities in access to resources, subordination of wealth acquisition, the idea of honor and implied or legal ownership, deeply held beliefs, and definitions of right and wrong that are disparate amongst groups. These complexities add to the desperation for a tentative environment that is safe and secure for ourselves and future generations. The fork in the road. Are you a mean, crazy chimpanzee or a calm and nurturing babono? On a lighter note, the never-ending quest for a calm mind, free of the modern plagues of anxiety and depression, and the universal quest for world peace, so comically referenced in the Sandra Bullock movie Miss Congeniality, when asked what her goal was if she won the beauty pageant, and in character she replied, "Stiffer probation laws, Stan," and the audience gasps. And she adds dramatically, "and world peace." The audience goes wild with applause. World peace is conceptually a popular concept, it would seem, so let's go with that. In referencing our evolution as a species in relation to other primates, this quiz was fun. Taking it with some fear and trepidation, I was hoping to be able to relate to the peace-loving bonobos, and according to the quiz, I am a Japanese MACQUE who love to soak in hot springs. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I hope you too have some fun finding out which monkey tribe is most compatible with your outlook. Thank you so much. This is my photo credit. I think it was Mother's Day. This is a picture of me and an old dilapidated mobile Patriot unit that I photographed on the North Fork of Long Island in New York. And the pictures to the right are my peace place where I grew up, our creek, we pronounce it crick, in Seatuck in Eastport, New York. There are 3 YouTube references embedded in the presentation. The first is the premise upon which this presentation was built, based on the work of Jeremy Griffith, and exceeds an hour in length. The other videos are ancillary, roughly 5 and 6 minutes respectively. This presentation is a 15-minute PowerPoint audio upload. If the videos are utilized, this presentation is appropriate for an hour and 30-minute lecture opportunity. Feel free to use the presentation and let me know so I can add you and your organization for future availability of classroom and lecture materials. Thank you so much, and thank you, Professor and Kaiser University, for this opportunity.